Hi everybody, I'm all by my lonesome tonight. As you can see, my other half has gone off to work, and yeah, so here I am. This live stream I am doing all by myself without Des, double O Des, because I want to talk about this weekend's happenings and the overall picture for OHM's campaign going forward, because it's just a couple of weeks, and although this isn't an OHM channel, I think it's important that we call upon everyone that cares about the future of this country to volunteer in various capacities. And of course, talk about some of the main issues that we are driving as an organization that is very, very different to other political parties. Things that other political parties are absolutely silent about. And that should definitely make people wonder why. Okay, so cool. We are 27 days, so just over 3 weeks away from, or just under 4 weeks away from election day. And I think that's so amazing. I'd love to know in the comments, those who are here already, do you intend on voting or don't you intend on voting? And if you don't intend on voting, please let me know why, because I'd love to understand that psychology more. Because as we know, less than half, where's Des to tell me to stop spinning? Less than half of, less than, what was I going to say? More than double of people who vote actually don't vote. So that's a lot of people. Thank you, Paul, for voting. And you don't have to say who you're voting for. Actually, that doesn't entirely matter to me. Obviously, it'll be great if people vote for OHM. But I think increasing the voter turnout is important. So what's been happening forever for our entire 30 years of democracy, so-called democracy, is that there are various misconceptions flying around. And people also, when they don't vote, they believe that they are doing some kind of justice to an unjust system. And the logic really fails because Parliament's not going anywhere. 400 people are getting seats, whether you are voting or not voting. Therefore, it is imperative that you vote. Andres here says he used to be a serious non-voter. And that is true for many of our members and supporters. And Andres, if you don't mind sharing why you used to be a serious non-voter. Voting OHM, Lauren, done deal. Oh, sorry, the heart was in the way. Thanks, Paul, for that transparency. So that's the one misconception. People think if they don't like the system, then they shouldn't vote. Wow. If you don't like the system, then you absolutely should vote. And even if there's not a party changing the system, it's fine. You should still vote. You should vote strategically. So what's important to understand is that there are 400 seats in Parliament. And I'm just talking about national. The same applies to provincial. The same applies to local. Those 400 seats are not going anywhere. So those who support the top three parties who hold 90% of Parliament's power right now, they have their voters and their supporters coming out. So if you do not believe in the system, it's even more important that you go vote for anyone but the top three. And why am I always on about the top three? It's again because they hold 90% of the seats in Parliament, which is way more than the majority. And that is extremely important. So when it comes to controlling political parties behind the scenes, influential funders and corporations only have to donate to three parties. If they donate to three parties, then they control 90% of the legislation. It's that simple. And that's why a direct election system will be far more transparent and accountable. The main one, that there was nothing worth voting for. Okay, Andres, I think that is quite a common one, that it feels like there's nothing worth voting for. And this is why it's so imperative that people who don't vote understand that those 400 seats aren't going anywhere. So you have to counter vote. You have to vote by voting for anyone else. And as I've said before, my strategy would be, if OHM didn't exist, to vote for the bottom feeders in Parliament or vote for a new emerging party. I think that's definitely a good strategy. And, I'm all for changing the multi-party system into a direct election system. But if this if this multi-party system had to stay, what one would want in Parliament is as many parties represented as possible, each of them having more or less an equal share of seats. That way, proper representative democracy will take place and proper debates will take place, instead of some feeling like the winners and others feeling like the losers, which leads me to another misconception. There's so many misconceptions, and they've been indoctrinated and ingrained in our minds for the dawn of our democracy. So it's very important we understand these misconceptions that are flying around so that we can bring new information to people, help them think differently. What else? Yeah, so everyone that's just joined, I'm just asking you, are you intending on voting on the 29th, or are you not intending on voting? And if you're not intending on voting, could you please share why? The ideal number of parties in Parliament is 400, absolutely full. That's hilarious. So yes, that's the other misconception. A lot of people, everyone, I've never once met any person that says, oh, wow, we have so many parties. That's wonderful. Not once. Everyone that learns about how many parties there are say, oh, that's terrible. How can we have so many parties? That's horrible. But for me, that's the one positive in this crazy system that we have. It's the one positive. So the fact that we have a lot of parties, on one hand, it shows that people are unhappy with the current system or the current way of doing things. But on the other hand, it's indicative of a thriving democracy, because it means there are people that are willing to participate in the electoral system. And that is a good thing. So you want lots of ideas represented in Parliament. Who here only wants 3, 4, or 5 ideas represented in Parliament, when this country is so diverse? Even within this chat of I don't know how many people, we all think so differently about things. So do you want less perspectives represented in Parliament, or do you want more perspectives represented in Parliament? So the next time someone says to you that there are too many parties out there, please correct them, because it couldn't be further from the truth. There's no such thing in a democracy as too many parties. I definitely do think people, A, either don't understand democracy, or B, they do not want democracy. And I want to be far, far away from people who don't want the democracy. Oh, thank you, Gary. There's been quite a few more interviews since then. Thanks, Marlene. How many votes to get a seat? I think, according to Double Odez's last calculations, I leave maths to him. He said it was 45,000. That is a lot. I mean, in the local government elections, we had 7,000 votes across 50 municipalities. There's far more municipalities than that. So I think we did well in those terms. And we also had a much smaller budget. I think we had about 100,000, 40,000 of which I think went to the IEC. So we spent 60,000 on campaigning. We have definitely increased since then a lot. So I just hope that we do get a seat, because it will speed up our progress. But at the same time, if we don't, it doesn't matter. We're still on track. We are spreading awareness. We're getting media coverage we wouldn't have if we were not contesting. And our focus, again, is on the 2026 elections, with a prime priority of using the 2026 elections to develop the structures necessary for a real resistance. Because at local government level, you're dealing with wards and municipalities. And I think that will be a perfect framework in which to strengthen us as an organization side by side with rolling out Omega. So by the end of this year, we'll be done with our first trial run of Omega training. Next year, we're opening it up for people to apply and do again. We would have learned a lot, and we would have refined it to the point where I think it'll be ready for public consumption. So that's super exciting. And, whatever happens, seat or no seat, we're strengthening as an organization with one goal in mind, and that is creating a strong sovereign country so we can live in freedom. Tell me who else is speaking about that right now, because I'd like to make friends with them, A, or B, make sure they're not subverting the concept. Paul says, done with parties that are disconnected from us, the people driving a narrative that suits them and not the people. OM is for the people. Absolutely. So OM is the only organization I know that doesn't want to solve problems by increasing its own power. We want to do the opposite. We believe the less powerful government is, the more society will step in and solve its own problems and improve. So if you look at centuries that have passed, Humanity, I don't feel like is progressing at all. And I want humanity to progress. I think all of us, we're on Earth for such a short time, 70, 80, 90, 100 years, 120 or 130 years if we're lucky. I'm aiming to live that long, 150. But it's short if you think about it. I mean, the time flies by. Don't we want our existence to have improved humanity in some way or the other, whether it's through our role as a wife, mother, or career woman, or whatever it is? Don't we rather want to improve humanity as opposed to just feeding this global financial system? I think it would be a yes for most people. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Maybe you're happy just being a number in the financial system. But somehow I don't think so. I don't think our souls really resonate with that. There's definitely more out there, and society hasn't properly progressed. We need to help it progress. And one of the steps to do that is minimizing the power and control of government. It's pretty easy. So we just need to get more people on board with that, I guess. Who is representing Owen Brits Northwest? Ernest Visser, we have one candidate in the Northwest, and her name is also Lauren, just like me. And she's not in Brits specifically, but she's representing the region. This is not local government elections, Ernest. This is national and provincial elections. We're not contesting province. We're contesting national and regional. And she is representing and she's awesome. And she's Lauren. She's my name. And she also has kids that she's homeschooling, and she also doesn't give her kids phones. So there's lots of parallels there. And she's done an awesome job at helping us with our social media graphics for absolute free, in between all the other crazy things she does for a living. So that's really awesome. We need to exit the rat race and help others exit it too. Okay, so let me explain the... Is the Facebook page Constitutional Hill a DA initiative? It's been sponsored to... I haven't seen it. I'll go have a look, but who knows? What is it about? Paul, if you can just put in the comments the brief gist of what Constitutional Hill is all about. I have my cat next to me. It's so cute. I want to talk about the ballot papers, and I want to talk about these elections because it's a question I'm getting a lot. And that is, are you going to be in my ballot on the ballot in my area? And that is pretty simply a very simple answer. The answer is yes, everywhere. So it's national and provincial level elections. There are 3 ballots, which is new. The provincial, we're not on at all. We're not contesting provincial elections, and that is because we don't believe in provincial government. Whatever provincial government is doing, either local or national, can do better. And that's why we're not even bothering playing around in that landscape. Not at all. But there is a regional ballot and there is a national ballot. Both are contesting the 400 seats in Parliament. So the one regional ballot is contesting the 200 seats of the 400, and the national ballot is contesting the other 200 seats. As far as we know, every ballot paper is going to be the same across the country. We are on the second page, 10th from the bottom. So we're pretty much towards the end. That's us. So please look out for that. Please make sure you find the Organic Humanity Movement on 2 of 3 of the ballots. We will be on your ballot no matter where you live. It doesn't matter what corner of South Africa you're in. We are there. We paid 300,000 Rand in order to contest nationally and all regions. So do make sure you find us. Take your time. Another important thing to note is that special voting closes tomorrow. So if you're unable to go to a voting station because of a physical disability or you're pregnant, then you can apply for a special vote and the IC will come to you. The other thing that's important to note about these elections, there's so much training to do. The other important thing to note is that it is okay to make a mistake at the ballot box. If you're standing there and you're panicking and your palms are sweating because you're in a queue and you have anxiety, as many people do, and you make a mistake and you put your X next to a party you don't want to, or you change your mind directly after putting an X next to that party, you are allowed to request from the IEC an additional 2 ballots. So you are allowed to make mistakes and you are allowed to request new ballots. Then they will discard the one that you don't want and they will give you a new one. And you can do that twice. So that's important to know. And then, so that is some of the things from the IEC. We will conduct further training. But I think voter education is sorely lacking in this country. Very, very much. People become a member of OHM and you can join the groups and be well informed. We need lots of people to mobilize. You know, that's the thing that gives me anxiety about the organic humanity movement and its strategy, is that it depends on the active citizenry of people, and a lot of people. Not the majority of the country, but a significant amount. And we need that fast. So luckily, because of all the media, I guess it's because of the media, we are seeing growth, but we need to see a lot more growth. We can achieve our vision the faster we grow. Oh, okay, so they look like a DA-funded operation attacking PA especially. You know, that's going to happen. It's a few weeks until election, so I think everything is going to take place. Every strategy, every dirty tactic will be played. Just expect it. Hi, Annette. Who can I contact in the Free State? We don't have an area activator in the Free State, but if you WhatsApp me, by me I mean OHM, then you can let me know where in the Free State you are, and then I can connect you with members that are closest to you. Okay, so important announcement. Well, a lot of you, if you're OHMies, have seen the announcement. And that is, there's 3 events taking place this weekend in Gauteng, which I'm going to be part of. I'll be speaking and deconstructing or dissecting the OHM's manifesto in Mamelodi on Saturday morning, Midrand Saturday afternoon, and then Pretoria East a Sunday morning. So do let me know if you want to attend. So in order to attend, again, WhatsApp the number I just posted in the chat. Bring people and friends with. It's going to be a social, informal gathering. So you can bring some eats and drinks and relax and enjoy each other's company. What's beautiful about these events is seeing so many people together who wouldn't have otherwise met, who all want the same thing for South Africa. And you can see the thumbnail of this whole video, which is our new banner for our social media, the main points. So what I wanted to do with that banner is bring home what direct elections will result in following OHM's plan. So no more political parties, meaning we vote for our representatives, including the president directly, which I'll be discussing a lot this weekend, as well as national sovereignty. This one cannot be overstated enough. National sovereignty is so important. Please tell me which parties are begging for national sovereignty. It's actually extremely frustrating that this is not a priority of anyone out right now, because this is the most important thing. And it's not just about keeping foreigners out, as many people will say. It's not about that. Protecting our borders, it's not just about the physical boundaries. It's also protecting policy from international influence, of which there is lots, including the influence of the United Nations Agenda 21 on local municipalities' integrated development plans, which are rolling out as we speak, as well as the National Development Plan. Both of those plans, the local government and the national, are carbon copies of Agenda 21 with the Sustainable Development Goals. Now, do you want global organizations dictating policy which affects our lives? I don't think so. I don't want that. So we're a community of people that safely do not want that. And then strengthening our military. I wonder if that's considered somewhat of a controversial thing to say these days. I wonder if my generation, raised in the post-1994 education system that was influenced by UNESCO, perhaps do not see the need for that. I hope that's not true. But strengthening our military is extremely important. I homeschool my 4 children, and we had this discussion the other day. So we talk about the need for government, and we spoke specifically this one afternoon after eating lunch outside somewhere beautiful. We spoke about freedom, and they were like, but I'll just go take a piece of land and build my little log cabin. And then I was like, no, but you can't, because that piece of land will either be privately owned or owned by government. So you're not free. And then we were speaking and speaking and speaking. We were doing like a root cause analysis and speaking about various scenarios. And it was both my boys who realized in order to be free, one of the first things you have to do is develop weapons to protect yourself. And if an early high school child can figure that out, then why is our government not doing that? That should be the biggest question. And very much branching off from that, I'll jump a few points down, is the need for nuclear power. So I was on a State of the Nation's YouTube channel the other day, and I spoke a lot to Mike both before the interview and after the interview. And one of his biggest priorities is strengthening the economy. He believes a robust economy will solve all of our problems. Great. Amazing. So now you're not participating in politics, hoping the economy will sort itself out. To what end? Unfortunately, most political parties have zero interest. There are a few, but most have zero interest in developing more nuclear power, when that is the only true answer to ensuring that we have enough electricity in this country to increase the economy. And that is not a priority of so many politicians right now, that it's actually frightening. And when you increase the strength of the military, increase our ability to produce power for the country, not for little bits and pieces here and there. And if you truly protect our borders and kick out all international influence over our policy, what we will already have is a very strong country where people are also representing their politicians, their public representatives. Please do not ever call them leaders. They are representatives. They'll be elected directly, and they can also be voted out, which is awesome. And then with all of that comes the ability to just live freely without government interference, because national government will be looking after the strength of the country against international threats. So they won't have power over the everyday decisions that affect our lives on a very local level. Only local government will do that, and how strong or how influential local government is purely dependent on the needs of the people. And then, of course, with all of this, gun and land ownership, we've never outright had a policy document or statement on gun and land ownership, but it goes without saying as human beings that we exist. We need a place to stay. We need a place to call our own so that we can develop our individuality, create our own families, and then develop our wealth on this piece of land. I think ownership of land that's your own is paramount to being a free, sovereign human being. And then gun ownership is important because you need a license to carry a firearm. Last time I checked, you don't need a license to carry a knife or a rock or a stick. But you do need a license from the government to carry a gun, understandably so. And I believe that's important because America. And that allows you to protect yourself instead of relying on the South African Police Service to protect you for you, on behalf of you, because we all know how that works out, don't we? So that's just the gist of what the fruits of a direct election system with the own principles taking shape in government. And I think that's extremely exciting. I can't wait for that, to strengthen this nation, to give people room to progress. And then we'll become leaders in the world. The world will just have to follow suit. And then globally, the world will start progressing in a completely opposite direction to what the Fourth Industrial Revolution is trying to suggest strongly. I love that, Andres. I saw that posted on one of the own groups. Sorry, a policeman is too heavy to carry. I would rather carry a gun. Hi, Gregory. Hello, St. Louis. Long name. Felix says, healthy, strong, self-reliant citizens. Absolutely. Politics is always interfering, even in a highly technical field of work where one would have expected professionalism, yet politics, government interferes. That's from Andres. Thank you, Liz. Everyone, please remember to like the video. Marlene says, because we repeated the Meet with Ohm event again on Wednesday, a member of the public found us. Oh, that's amazing. He was looking for Ohm and was so happy about it. He'll become a member now. Awareness is now key. That means another person in J-Bay. That's amazing. Sue's asking, Lauren, are those Ohm meetings in Midrand open to anyone? Can we suggest to people asking questions to attend? Absolutely, it's open to the public. They just have to RSVP via the WhatsApp number so we know who's attending for security purposes. But it's open to the public. We're just not displaying the address out there. Someone asked us, how can you advertise an event without giving the address? Well, it's for safety purposes. Yes, sovereignty and national unity, and then I'd say individual liberty are extremely important. I also hope we do well, Peter Free, in our voting poll. I really hope so. I realized throughout, especially the last few months of this year, how much people don't understand the political system we're in, don't understand the ideal role of government, and don't understand global politics either. I've met lots of people who believe in limited government and who believe in principles of freedom and liberty, but refuse to look at the global influence on our country. And if you're missing that piece of the puzzle, then you're missing the picture completely, because that really puts into perspective why we're in the terrible situation we are in here in South Africa. Meaning you can't just blame the ANC for all our sufferings. It's far bigger than that. Yeah, so Annette, please let me know where you are, and then I'll see where the closest members are. Would it be possible to give us an idea of your thoughts on provincial vote if you lived in KZN? I know who I'm voting for on that particular paper, but controversial for you to comment, so understand. Yeah, I'm not going to give my opinion. I think I know who I'm voting for province, and I think they're only here in the Western Cape. I'm not too sure. Actually, there's one of two that I'm looking at. And really, maybe they'll get a seat. We're in that phase. Maybe they'll get a seat. If they do get a seat, wonderful. Do I agree with everything they stand for? No, not at all. But it's about, I'd rather have them being an opposing voice than someone else. So it's really a decision you need to make on your own. I think it's very important. And do some research beforehand. Don't just try think on the day. Also, I cannot fathom that some people are discouraging people from voting. I think that's so sad in our current state of affairs. And if you hear anyone doing that, it's so important that you let your opinion be known to them. So that's important, because we need to increase our voter turnout. Cool. My mouse. Okay, did I miss anything? Okay, so on this weekend, please remember, if you want to join in Gauteng, you just have to send a WhatsApp to Ohm's number, and then we'll give you the address. I'll be dissecting the manifesto because there's many layers to it. I think you have to read it quite a number of times to fully grasp the entirety of the changes taking place. One thing that's been positive with all the public interviews I've been doing is I'm seeing people positively talk about changing the constitution, whereas 2 or 3 years ago, that was like almost a taboo subject. So that is super positive. And then, people are becoming more positive to being open to talking about system change, which I think is also amazing. So keep on doing what you're doing. Marlene's saying, please give us guidelines again on the rules on posters and branded clothing on election day for observers and candidates. So if you're an observer for a party, you're actually called a party agent. And if you're a candidate, you can go vote, but you can't be a party agent. If you are a party agent observing the day or the counting process, you cannot wear party branded clothing. That's it. We are looking for volunteers to be observers on the day and in the evening. So do let us know if you're willing to do that. We have a volunteer WhatsApp group, and all the things are being put on there, on the WhatsApp group, all the information. So let us know. Any democracy, including the current one, I'll say it again and again and again and again, any democracy, including our current defective democracy, can only work properly or better the more people are involved. So I'd say the minute you go less than a certain percentage of people involved, you don't have a democracy anymore. You have tyranny. You have some funny form of dictatorship. That'll always happen. And this is another thing. OM is dependent on the fact that we are assuming at a point in time, people are going to want democracy and work hard for it. By democracy, we mean rule by the people. What we mean by that is government is built to serve the people, not have control over the people. And there's definitely parameters one can put in place, which we believe we have in our manifesto to do so. So that's it from me. Hi, Ruan. Have you just joined? Will there be a manifesto launch of some sort? People's Assembly has listed all party manifestos and logos on its website and says they will update it as the manifesto launches take place. We were probably a little bit ahead of schedule. We launched our manifesto earlier this year, and we did so via YouTube using technology. So I think we must get our members to contact the People's Assembly. Are they also covering emerging parties or just the established parties? That'll be interesting. No, you do not have to range with the IEC to have an info table at the voting station. Let me explain here. At every voting station, you're going to see that crime tape around the boundary. Inside that crime tape, whatever you call it, is the IEC's territory. Outside of that tape is free public space. And that's why parties will vie for the best spot closest to the entrance. No, you don't. If hopefully you get a seat or two, do you mind being accountable to the voters? Do you mind being accountable to the voters? And what exactly do you mean by that technically, physically? Phil says many election posters talk about fix, rebuild, repair, change. The idea resonates with everyone. The difference is in what and how. That is very true. Okay, so I think when it comes to getting seats in Parliament, if we get 2 or 3 or 4, what I'd love is for all of us who are representative. I'm number 1 on the list, so I would definitely be there. Then we have others on the list, they would follow suit. We definitely want to vlog some of the processes. Like I'm definitely going to vlog you parliamentary lunch because I've been invited to a couple of those before I started OWN. And it's interesting. I mean, you understand why they fall asleep in Parliament because they're full. And I think they should replace lunch with a gym, with an indoor gym. I think that will be much wiser. So yes, we'll be accountable in various ways. I'm just curious, Gregory, what you mean by that. Yeah. So once we get that seat, we'll expose how the system works to you live on YouTube. But besides that, we'll start making friends with everyone that has a bum on a seat, not with parties. We're not coalition. We will be making friends with individuals and working on them to change the constitution in a way that favors the people of South Africa. And I think with some new parties involved, if they do make it into Parliament, it'll make our job all the more easier. Cool. So that is it for tonight, peoples. What about Peter Free? What about Triple X? Triple X. Extreme. What do you mean by that? Any final questions? Because I am going to end this very soon. So I can get back to my children, whose bedtime it is. Long time ago. We have a nice, I want to catch the last few minutes of my boys' movie. We have a nice tent for camping at the voting station. Might as well implement system changes. That's nice, Marlene. Okay, so let me just explain the voting station days. In 2021, we had zero branding everywhere. I remember the one by-election, we had nothing but a plastic table and a beach umbrella. So that's how we vibed in 2021, which is kind of cool. It's humble beginnings. But now we're going to have, I think, around 30 gazebo packages, which is nothing because there's over 20,000 voting stations. And we only have like 30 info table packages. So if you can understand, you're not going to see OHM everywhere. You're also not going to see OHM posters everywhere. But that doesn't mean we're not on the ballot. It means that we are not funded by government and corporations and have not got the funding to print 1 million posters and 20,000 gazebo packages. So it's a slow progress, little bits by little bits. So that's what we want to do. Just keep in mind, just because we haven't got a poster in your area does not mean we're not on the ballot paper. Oh, Gregory, but what you're saying, I cannot guarantee. You're saying once elected, people change. Well, that's a risk you take. You take that risk. You choose to take that risk or not. You're welcome to vote for any other of the 53 parties on the ballot and let them take the risk with them instead. Make a R2 donation, please, people. Absolutely. I am a full-on believer of lots of people giving tiny donations, R2 or R10, lots of people doing that instead of a few people giving a lot. That is a much better strategy. What did I want to answer? There was another question. Oh, XXX, someone said refers to the globalists. What part of national sovereignty did you not get? Whoever asked that? I can't remember who asked that. What part of not allowing international influence over our government did you miss? Did you come into the stream late, maybe? Earlier, I spoke about national sovereignty, strengthening our borders, not just physically, but in terms of international interests affecting our local South African policy that affects us citizens. And I don't believe in that. So no, we don't like them. We don't like global influence over our government. But we need a strong military and a strong citizenry before we can fully kick them out. And that's up to the people. That is it, everybody. Thank you so much for being part of this live stream. Most important takeaway is that there's an actual live in-person event happening this weekend. Do people still like live, personal, one-on-one physical interaction, or do you prefer to sit at home in your pajamas watching YouTube videos? Because we have an opportunity in the last 2 weeks of May to tour a little bit. Not me and my family, me and OHM representatives. So we can do that in person, or we can do it online. And I am trying to gather, are people more inclined to rather sit at home and watch something? Or do people still see the value of actually getting out of their houses and going to meet with other people in person? I'd love to know. Felix says live in-person interaction is the way to go. Next podcast, same time next week like this. I have no problem with that. As long as I'm not flying somewhere or in the middle of something else, I can say yes to that. Andrew says, if I'm free, I will attend. Okay, cool. So we will definitely... Well, thank you, Jarita, for donating 100 Rand today. Hi, JP. I definitely want to check out your party. Looks like potential. Tired of fakery. So are we. I hate fakery. I hate cliche political speeches. I hate all the pomp and ceremony. So hopefully you resonate with what we have to say. Basically just making South Africa sovereign, so that we can be free. Definitely in person. Cool. In person, one heart and mind at a time. We'll probably focus mainly on the metros and then to towns close to metros, because we have limited time. But don't despair if we don't get to you, because we have 2026 elections around the corner. Hi, Boo12469. Thank you, Gregory. And thank you, Chris, for your donation. Thank you to everyone that made the donation. Marlene as well. And thank you for joining me in this very impromptu, last-minute arranged meeting. And I hope you like the background without Desia. I made it pink. And Ron, you just reminded me. Your presence just reminded me. Great news. Such exciting news. I'm so excited. In Cape Town, I don't know how many of you here are from the city of Cape Town. On the 19th of June, there are 3 by-elections. One in Muizenberg, one in Tableview, one in Durbanville. So if you are interested in being a candidate, let me know. But if you're not, doesn't matter. We are just excited to contest in the metro. We don't get a lot of opportunities. year in Cape Town because there are not a lot of by-elections here. And so we're very excited to see how we fare in these elections. We do this mainly to get coverage in the media or in the public. And I think it really helps a lot. So that's super exciting. Stay tuned for more information. Please post a picture of everything on social so people know OM is happening. Absolutely, Ron. I need to do more on social media. I've been spending the past week couriering posters and flyers and packaging them myself, so that's quite time consuming, as well as just responding to a plethora of messages. So it's been pretty intense. We need more volunteers. I've put in place a structure we need going forward of definite volunteers. If we don't have these 7 definite volunteers, we cannot exist as an organization. So I'll have that discussion on OM at a later stage. But we do have volunteers now. A little bit here, a little bit there, but going forward next year, we definitely going to need 7 dedicated people, and I'll explain those roles in a later video. Hi, Michael. Do you think you'll make much headway in Ekurhuleni? If you're talking about 2024, we are contesting for seats in National Assembly and provincial government. So to speak of Ekurhuleni, you should be speaking about the 2026 elections. We do have members in Ekurhuleni, sorry, I'm not sure how you pronounce that, but we obviously need more coverage everywhere. So if you want to help, you can either hand out flyers, go door to door, share our social media, just speak to us on, I'll post the number again, speak to us, and then we'll put you to work. The leader is very, very busy. Yes, Andres, thank you for that. The leader is very, very busy. We need more members, please. Yes, amen to that. I second that. Please can we have the short videos? Can't your kids cut them or someone with tech savvy? Yes, I know I'm due to do that. Lauren, in how many towns in the Free State have own representatives and volunteers? In the Free State, I'm not sure. My cat just snored. I'm not sure how many right now off the top of my head, but not a lot. We need a dedicated area activator and provincial representative for the Free State. And I don't think it's a ton of work. I'd say maybe like an hour a week. Maybe that is too much for some people, but it's something that we need desperately. So if you're interested, let us know. Correct, Ruth. I am speaking in Pretoria East on Sunday. I'm glad you like the pink background. I will make sure I have this every time. Every time Des is away. I'm not sure how much you like the pink. Okay, cool, peoples. Let's get to work. Thank you, everyone that has been doing everything, has been doing the most to get OM's message out there. It's really, really been awesome. And we just need to continue as it is. I'm also doing a radio interview on Radio 786. Oh, I hope I have that right. Tomorrow at 3:20. 786. I'm pretty sure it's 786. Let me look. Yeah, correct. Radio 786 tomorrow. You can find it online at 3:20. Share it with people. What's important about all of these public engagements, all these interviews, is that if you're speaking to someone who's skeptical, you can show them one of the interviews and maybe it'll help them change their mind. Thanks, Sky. Glad you love the background. Okay, Ruan, yes, I will add. I think you are in the volunteer group now, if I'm not mistaken. If not, just send me a message and I'll put you in the volunteer group. Yes, I also have T-shirts available. I probably have about 40 left. So if you want one, let me know. We actually decided not to sell them because we raised funds for a whole bunch of things, including T-shirts. So if you take one, and you can't afford it, it's fine. But if you can donate, then donate any amount, 10 Rand, 2 Rand, or anything. It costs us, I can't remember, I think around 140 to print and an additional 60 to courier. But it might not be as much as 140. It might have been 120. I can't remember because we got quotes on various options. But somewhere around there. So you can request one. And then if you feel like you can donate, then please do so. Hi, Sibusiso, welcome. We're about to end, so you just got us at the end here. Thanks, everyone, and thank you for all the contributions, the monetary contributions and the time contributions. and all the sharing on social media. I think it's really making a huge difference. And you guys in the comment sections and the pestering of YouTubers, absolute 5 stars to all of you. Just 1 seat, people. Just that one will make history. Absolutely. 45,000 votes, 1 seat. Absolutely. Thank you, Jillian. Thanks, everybody. Good night. And if no other engagements happen, same time next week.